Hey, y'all. Thanks for being here. My name's Chris Robley. I'm on the team at CD Baby, and I'm really excited for this talk with Jeremy Carter Gordon because I'm just going to talk for a minute, and then I'll let you say hello.
Go for it.
I met him and his group maybe like 5 years ago at a conference called Folk Alliance, which is a folk music conference, like it's called. And they had the most amazing, like, handcrafted merch. There was this songbook that you could tell they put a ton of care into. And I took it home and I listened to the music and I was like, they're really good and clearly they really care. But I'd always thought of you as a very kind of in real life, tactile, folky type person. So then years later, I see them doing well on TikTok. I was like, wow, this feels unlikely to me because up until that point, I had seen TikTok as dance challenges and crazy memes and all this stuff. But no, they were just doing what they do, which is Corsican vocal music from long ago, labor songs of the early 1900s, like not stuff I thought of as doing well on TikTok. So I was like, I got to talk to this guy. And how the hell is he doing so well on TikTok? So thank you for being here. That's why I'm excited. Do you want to say hey and talk about your music?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me here and sort of having Windborne here by proxy. Yeah, we sing 4-part vocal a cappella music with almost no accompaniment, sometimes a little bit of smattering of some things. And yeah, it's music that is not necessarily what you'd necessarily expect to do well on TikTok. There's a lot of songs from movements of the past of social struggle sung for some of the struggles of today. There's a lot of politically conscious music in there. And then there's also the other half of what we do is polyphonic singing traditions from different cultures and countries around the world. So we have stuff from Corsica, from Basque Country, from the Republic of Georgia, from Occitania, from Quebec. And it's a eclectic range. And it's been really exciting to see how TikTok has really enabled us to find a platform for some of these niches. And I imagine that like probably none of you out there are doing like Corsican polyphonic singing, but you might have, you know, something that is like pretty specific to you that you're saying like, where, I know this is good music, where are the people that are interested in this? And I think TikTok is sort of a sleeper tool for helping you connect with those people.
Yeah, so when you say it's a sleeper tool, I've also heard you say it's like the perfect tool for the moment. Why? What's it doing?
Totally. So I think that there's a couple things to understand about TikTok right off the bat. One is that in the life of a social media platform, so we're not talking about like you on the platform, but the platform itself, they have a growth stage and a life cycle. And so you think about something like Facebook. In the beginning, it was all organic involvement, engagement. Facebook wanted people to be coming onto the platform. They wanted you to be getting addicted and sucked into that as a place to be. So you would post something and it would get tons and tons and tons of views. This is, 15 years ago or something like that. As soon as they got, a couple billion people on the platform, they started to shift towards monetizing. They had investors who had been pouring in a huge amount of money and, they needed to start giving that back. And so now, if you post something on your music page, I imagine, you might have 1,000 followers or 10,000 followers, but probably it's only getting seen by 5% of that. It's really frustrating. Same thing with Instagram. You're not going to get that organic involvement. TikTok in this moment, and probably for still a little while yet, is in a growth phase. It wants to be pulling you in. It wants to be getting you dependent on that platform. That's long-term going to turn into a similar issue, but for now, it is a way that you can organically get a huge audience without having to actually know. People don't have to know about you for you to be giving your content to them.
In the way that, excuse me, long weekend. In the way that TikTok is surfacing things, I've heard you also talk about the difference between like kind of friend-based recommendation, or at least the guise of friend-based recommendation versus what TikTok does. Can you describe that?
Yeah. So, if you're on TikTok or if you're on Facebook or Instagram, the way it works is the posts that you're putting out there, they're going to people who have signed up, have liked you, have followed you, whatever, that they already know about you somehow. Maybe you know them in real life, maybe you've connected with them through a streaming service, whatever it is. They have to know who you are, choose to follow you, and then maybe Facebook will deign to show your posts to them. TikTok works in a really different way. There is a follow feature. Just out of curiosity, how many people are on TikTok as creators? And how many people have TikTok and like look at it as followers as well? And you can be both. Cool, that's good to know. Have a sense of that. So the basic way that TikTok works, if you haven't sort of been spending time on that platform, you post a video, it will show it to a few people. If those people like it, and I don't just mean they say that they like it. Maybe they watch it a couple times. Maybe they spend a bunch of time in the comments section, either commenting or reading other people's comments. Maybe they actually like it. Maybe they go to your page and watch your other videos. All of these are indications of ways that they are engaging with your content. If they do that, TikTok shows it to some more people. This is not necessarily people that follow you. And this is a little bit of an exponential growth. So the first time, maybe it shows it to 10 people, then it shows it to 100 people. If those 100 people like it, it'll show it to 5,000 people. And if those 5,000 people continue to like it, it basically sort of grows to the point, with some exceptions, in theory, it sort of grows to the point of people aren't really engaging with this video anymore. It's found its full niche. But that means that you can go on the platform. If you're not a creator already, you can go on, and your video has the potential. It might not for quite some time, but it has the potential. You have no followers, and you can get 100,000 views your first video. That's the goal. That's the dream. It's probably not what's going to happen, but that potential being there, it just like leaves the possibility that Facebook or Instagram really doesn't have.
So I wanted to show a video just so people can get an idea of what y'all are doing. Is it true to say that this is the first video of yours that went really?
This is the first one that went sort of like millions viral, which we had some smaller success, but yeah, this is something that I never really thought was going to get the kind of traction that it did. This is a piece of Corsican sacred music that we filmed live in an island in Mont Saint-Michel. We were just there as tourists, and we were in this room that had amazing acoustics. I gave my iPhone to my sister. I said, "Walk in circles around us, please." And yeah, we put this up on TikTok, and you can watch it.
So good. So that video found its way to millions of people because of something called the algorithm. I've heard you also say something that kind of changed my thinking about algorithms. I'm paraphrasing, but it was basically the algorithm is your audience. And it wasn't in a cynical way, I don't think. You meant it in a good way. So can you explain that?
Yeah, so when we talk about algorithms, there is this aspect of it that is this secret thing that really no one knows exactly how it's working. However, when something is in a growth stage, when a platform is in a growth stage like TikTok is, what they're trying to do is they're trying to connect people to the content that those people will love. They're trying to get people to spend hours and hours on the app, and so they're trying to feed them stuff that is really specific to them. And TikTok is so good at this. If you're someone who's on TikTok as a consumer, it's very easy to just like scroll for hours and hours. And all the other social media platforms are trying to imitate this. And they're not for the most part, they're not doing as good of a job. Every time I go on Facebook and watch the reels there, it's showing me like baseball highlights, which is like fine, but like really not what I'm there for. And and TikTok is particularly good at showing you not what you claim to like. It's not what you follow. It's not all of that, but like what you really are engaging with on a consistent basis, which
Spooky.
yeah, it is spooky. And so as a result of TikTok essentially doing this well, the stuff that I say is good for the algorithm is also the stuff that is good for your audience. Things like, you know, having a little bit more of an unfiltered quality to your videos on TikTok rather than Instagram. It's very polished. It's very presentational. That's something that the algorithm seems to like. It's also something that the people who are on TikTok seem to respond to. So yeah, it's sort of breaking down some of the distinctions between, oh, the TikTok algorithm is just determining my success out of nothing. There is some element that's true about that, and we can talk about some of those things. Certainly, you know, if there's certain words in your video, in your captions, if you're talking about violence or sex or what have you, you know, that can have a dampening effect on it. But in terms of the content of your videos in a more general sense, it's really much more tied to the people as well.
Cool. So I think later in the discussion, I'm going to ask you a bunch about very specific techniques and things you've done on your videos with the algorithm in mind. But before we get there, you had a period where you jumped into TikTok and either it didn't work or you felt like it was hit and miss. And do you want to talk about that phase?
Yeah. One of the things that I think is really important as social media creators, which many musicians, for better or for worse, have to be these days. One of the things that you often hear is that you need to post every day, you need to post on a certain schedule, all of that. And I'm not going to say that that's wrong. I think that's a great, strategy if that works for you. But I also just want to, share our story, which was that was not how I've ever engaged with TikTok in particular. We got on the platform in 2019, I guess, and posted some things, had some moderate success, had things that got 10,000 views or 15,000 views. That was very exciting. Even though we had a much bigger following on Facebook, most of our videos got way fewer views. And then I sort of got disenchanted. It felt like it wasn't going anywhere, and I left it for almost a year. When sea shanties were trending in 2020, does anyone remember that? Yeah, okay. We were looking at this and being like, this is like, a cappella vocal music of like traditional work songs, traditional sea shanties. That's not so far from what we do. And so we started posting some things. It kind of also didn't really go anywhere, but then a month later, this video of us singing Corsican music did, and that really blew up. And then I got really excited about TikTok. I was, I got a couple million views, and I was like, this is going to change my life. And I was posting every day, multiple times a day. An interesting thing that is another difference between TikTok and Facebook, Instagram. Facebook, Instagram will punish you if you're posting too much, right? Everyone has that either knowledge or sense, is if you're posting a lot of things, it'll sort of make none of them do particularly well. That's not the case with TikTok. You can actually post 5 times a day if you want to. I don't necessarily recommend it for your own emotional and mental health, but that will be fine. That it's just going to keep putting it out because it's just trying to see what sticks, and it's going to do that. Show it to 5 people, show it to 100 people, show it to 10,000 people situation. Had all this great success, and then I sort of lost momentum on that and left it for another 6 months, and then had the energy again and came back and put a lot of energy into it, and the views picked right back up. So the way that I've approached it is a little bit of a feast or famine, which I think is more successful on TikTok than on other platforms. Lots of folks will say, you really should, just pick a schedule, do that with TikTok too. And I'm not saying that that's bad. I think that's also a great strategy. But I just, for anyone who is out there trying to think about, oh, is this the right thing to me? Should I be putting energy into this? I want to give you permission to put energy into it, leave it for a while, come back to it with the knowledge that like everything hasn't been ruined. Like you haven't like totally screwed yourself in this process, and that you can return to things, and that's fine, and that's great.
That sounds like good life advice in general.
I think so.
So you mentioned the sea shanties thing, and I have a video of y'all singing one, which is a little bit unusual, I think, for what you normally do, which is more along the lines of what people would see when they come to your concerts. In this one, you kind of went full TikTok and got costumes and like played it up. So let me see if I can find that one real quick. Oh, there it is. And maybe we should just say Michael Bublé saw this and did something with it, right?
Yeah, Michael Bublé saw this and wrote to us, and I don't know if he's shared it yet, but we'll see.
He promised to share it.
He promised to share it. It's true.
All right, let's see.
Give me a D, you know me. Oh, the year was 1778. How I wish I was in Sherbrooke now. When a letter of marque came from the king to the scummiest vessel I've ever seen. Oh, damn them all, I was told we'd cruise the seas for American gold. We'd fire no guns, shed no tears. But I'm a broken man on a Halifax pier, the last of Barrett's privateers. Oh, well, Sid Barrett cried the town. How I wish I was in Sherbrooke now. For 20 brave men, all fishermen who would wait for him, the Antelope's crew, oh damn them all. I was told we'd cruise the seas for American gold, we'd fire no guns, shed no tears. But I'm a broken man on a Halifax pier, the last of Barrett's privateers.
So good. So that is an example of one kind of stream of content that I've heard you talk about, which is more like trend following, duets, memes, jumping into the conversation. I've also heard you talk about the other kind being more like the vulnerable behind the scenes side. Do you have anything to share on that?
Yeah, so in figuring out how you interact with TikTok, I think a lot of people's first idea is what they see a lot of on TikTok, which is maybe it's a lot of dance trends, maybe it's a lot of like challenges, maybe, I mean, it sort of depends on what corner of TikTok you're on, and that, everyone has their own like particular curated feed that they've sort of not curated for themselves, but the app is doing that for them. And I think, that works really well for a lot of people. And I think the other side of that is really trying to give people a closer look at not only your art, but who you are. One of the things that I love talking about in terms of advice for TikTok is when you're presenting a song, you're not just presenting, here's the song, here's the music video, here are the lyrics. That's a great thing. That can go on YouTube for sure. And that can go, maybe on Facebook, and snippets of that can go on Instagram. What I find really powerful on TikTok is here's the song, here are the lyrics, but then, and we'll get more into this as we get into some of the specific tricks, but it's a good time to do it now. You also can include what I call the meta narrative, which is often on captions, or in the text that you're putting up on screen. Instead of saying, here's my new song, it comes out on Spotify on this date, go like and pre-save that, all of that stuff. TikTok, neither the algorithm nor the people, and this is sort of another moment of like where those things are interchangeable in some ways, neither the algorithm nor the people responds well to you trying to sell something or you trying to promote something. Instead, play the song, maybe a stripped down version, maybe it's just you in your bedroom, and give this is like why I wrote this song. 2 years ago, I had the worst breakup of my life. I, went on this trip. I quit my job. Whatever your story is, and I came out of it, this is the thing that I learned, and eventually I wrote this song. That's the song that you've been listening to. It's the giving the behind the scenes. Maybe it's you traveling in the place, or like showing video shots of the place where the song is from, and talking about the place, not talking about the song. It's giving people something to connect with that is separate necessarily from actually what your pitch is. And it's very easy to try and pitch people on, this is what we do because we're all here because we're wanting to share our music and make a living. And I think the more oblique, roundabout way of talking about these things is what's going to find more success. Certainly is what been found more success for us. One example of this is the first video that we showed, the Stabat Mater in the monastery. It was just telling the story of that day, rather than here's what this song is. It's up on streaming platforms. Like, go watch us, come to our concert. It's just like, here's the story of this song, and people connected to that in an emotional way rather than sort of an intellectual way or a commercial way.
And because of the thing you mentioned about content on TikTok, in most ways being sort of judged on its own merit, so you can go away for a while and you won't ruin things. You can post as much as you want, you won't ruin things. It also seems like you can post the same video with multiple meta narratives, and I think we'll have examples of that, but you've got a lot of different opportunities to test the story you tell on top of the story, which is really cool.
Yeah, so with that meta narrative concept, you can post the same video, and I've done this many times, particularly with some of the videos that have gone viral. Some of them do better than they originally did, some of them do worse, but that's sort of fine, and tell a different story. Post the song and say, like, here's the story of my breakup. Have another thing being like, this is how I learned guitar, and this was my process. Have another story that's talking about like the place and the nature and the experience. Have a different story that's like telling something that happened to you at a live show when you were playing this song once. And it's the same exact video content. Like, the recycling is super possible, but you're just putting a different spin on it. And I think this is a great possibility as well, as like, this is effective in the TikTok world, but this can also play into stagecraft. Like, you can test out these different stories and then figure out what stories you want to tell when you're on a stage, what things resonate with people, what is exciting and meaningful. Because that's not, no one wants to be the person who's just like, here's another song that I wrote, this is the name of it, here we go.
It's on Spotify.
Yeah.
Let me play I don't know if I'll play all of it, but okay, so we watched this one, and then you basically shared the same video in
It's actually, yeah, so it's actually, on YouTube, the whole thing is one video. This is just a slightly different cut of it with a different meta narrative on.
So it's just different information, same song. This is great. I know you've also done something similar to that for live gigs, where you take the same video but then kind of target the messaging at a particular city.
Yeah, so one thing that we've done, I mean, that video obviously has gotten us a lot of mileage. One thing that we tried recently, sort of coming out of pandemic, where we stopped touring for a couple of years, starting up live gigs again, I cut up different chunks of that video. It's, the whole thing's maybe 3 minutes. Put like 20-second clips and just said like the name of a town or a city and a date, and then in the captions said something like, did your video find you? And it's sort of this interesting thing, like TikTok does try and match locations. So like if something is speaking about a particular place, it will try and find people in that particular place. And particularly if it gets a little bit bigger, it'll try and find people in that particular place. But the other thing that it did is this like notion of, did you find your video? People would see this, be intrigued by the sound, whether or not, you know, they understood it, click through to the profile, and then they'd see all of the different towns and cities and gigs that we were playing. And so then, you know, they would click through those. It both drove engagement, but it also, you know, on the tour that we did right after that, consistently, you know, not a huge part of our audience, but I'd say maybe like 10% of our audience, which like is a really significant thing for us, was coming from TikTok, and they were coming in and talking to us about that. And, you know, that as, again, this oblique roundabout way of not saying, we have a gig on this thing, you should come, it's going to be great, but just like giving the hint that they're like reminding people, oh yeah, there are concerts in real life that you can go to again, and allowing them to sort of connect the rest of the dots for themselves.
That's cool. I won't play all of this one either, but when they show up at the concert, they enjoy it, and then apparently the fans go out on the street after and sing.
Help me, Bob, I'm bully in the alley, bully on his shin bone out.
That's a good fan base.
Yeah. and you know, that was definitely something that we were sort of trying to play into the Sea Shanty world. There's, you know, a lot of folks who got interested in sea shanties, and we knew that was an audience that could connect with us, even though that's not specifically what we do. And so that was sort of trying to give them that like behind the scenes. This is what's actually happening. This is not, you know, the polished thing, but this is like a show. Yeah. Come check it out.
So you said that what the algorithm is looking for is repeat views, commenting, watching, sharing, all that stuff. So I know you have a lot of sort of tricks that you want to share about how to get people to watch again, how to engage in the comments. Do you want to list them, or should we do an example? Or
yeah, I mean, we can maybe do some of both.
Okay.
One of the things that is watch time is certainly an important metric. This is sort of true across all platforms, but because the way that TikTok works, it's auto playing and it's auto looping, right? So if you have something that is short enough, people or compelling enough, people will watch it a number of times, and that's great. One of the ways you can do this is put too much there for them to take it all in on the first time, which sounds, you know, as a consumer, I sometimes find that annoying. However, it's really sort of useful. Your video obviously needs to be compelling enough sort of as a standalone to make it worth their while, but having a whole bunch of text on the screen that they haven't finished reading by the time the video loops means that they're maybe drawn in again. Having like an interesting trend that I've seen is like having something that cuts off like just before it fully resolves, perhaps musically, or like you don't quite hear all of the last word, like leaving people with like a slight sense of unfulfillment, so that they're
when I started noticing that, I was like, what is wrong with TikTok? Their thing is cutting everything off, and I was like, oh, this is like a trend.
This is like some deep psychological.
It's clever. What does that do to our minds? Why do we like that? Or why do we not like it so we have to watch it again?
You know, that's a great question. The question I thought you were asking is like, what is that doing to our minds in terms of like training us? And that's also a scary question.
Yeah. Take that wherever. But
yeah. Maybe we can look at some examples here. We can watch some of this one. So this is another Corsican song. And we put up the Corsican lyrics, which obviously everyone can understand, but then we also put up some other things about it.
Sole mondo.
I think some people can read all those captions. No, I was just gonna say, I think, you know, some people can read all of those captions as we're going along. I think a lot of people might have to like circle back to like get all of that story if they're really trying to like take in that information. And TikTok is also really interesting in terms of like it values, at least our corner of TikTok seems to value education. Like people want to go on TikTok because they want to like learn something, or be exposed to something new, and that's something that I don't know, maybe is true on other social media platforms, but I feel like I've really noticed it there. There's a lot of people who, in their responses to in our comments, they're asking for more information. They're asking for tutorials. They're asking for like history videos, and that's like really interesting. And if you're sitting there wondering like, how does that apply to the music that I create? You're probably not doing Corsican music as we established. I think part of that is like you both have like a personal experience, but also you have an approach to music. Like, how do you write your songs? How does like an idea move from the very beginning stages through to like a completed and produced piece? And there's like people on TikTok who are songwriters, who really bring their audience into that process, sort of in both an education way and a feedback way. And so they'll say like, this is like some lyrics that I was coming up with, and like, this is why, and this is how that like moved, and they'll just like share just the lyrics, and then a week later they'll say like, okay, it's I've got a riff now, and they'll share that, and then they'll say, okay, I'm thinking about going into the studio, like, and I'm posting two different videos, one of like a more produced sound and one of a more stripped back thing. Like, which one do you like? And and those things, they're driving people between the two videos. People want to watch one, and then they go to the profile and they watch the other one. And sometimes people do this, and this is, maybe we all know this, but if not, I'm letting you in on the secret. People will do this even though they've totally finished the song, right? So you've finished the song, and then you backtrack this, and then people come along on this emotional journey with you. They're learning about how, maybe we all sort of know how a song goes through a process from conception and idea through completion, but most of our audience doesn't. So it's the education, it's like the bringing them along, and sometimes maybe your audience responds really strongly to something that you didn't think was the right thing, and that's information for you. So yeah, that process of like incorporating education, incorporating behind the scenes-ness is really strong.
All the text that you're providing, whether it's on-screen captions or the text caption that accompanies the post, it seems like it's not only a chance to grab the audience, but it's also feeding more information to TikTok to find more audience.
Totally. Yeah, so hashtags aren't nearly as big of a thing on TikTok as they are on other platforms. I'll admit that I'm not, partially because I really believe in TikTok so much at the moment. I'm not putting much energy into those other platforms, but hashtags, you maybe want like 3 or 4 of them on your post. You definitely don't want that like 26 hashtag list or whatever that is. But all of the text that you put into TikTok, as Chris said, it's processing that. So if that's location, where you are, if that's just like keywords that are going to connect you to your fans, like the type of music that you do, certainly you can talk about like, I was really inspired by this other artist who's maybe like you but 10 years ahead, and has a bigger following. If you're talking about specific issues, if you do stuff that has like political or like social commentary, if you do things that, if you play an unusual instrument, or maybe you have unusual vocal technique, you can talk about all of those things, and it's not going to get lost. And as you do this, you're going to really get winnowed down sort of who your actual niche is, and TikTok is going to learn what kind of things really are inspiring your audience. So like for us, we haven't played one of these yet, but like we found this like, well, we've certainly found like young, Gen Z, leftist, queer union organizers. Like that's an audience that like, yeah, it's a great fan base. We love that. But what's interesting is it's not actually the fan base that we have like in person or in real life most of the time. You know, a lot of the people that come to our concerts historically have been, you know, people sort of in their 60s more or less, who like grew up with a folk revival in like the 60s and 70s. And it's not surprising to me that like young people, it's like not as affordable and they don't have time to like come out to concerts and do these things. But through TikTok, you know, we found that base that we like always wanted, but you know, haven't existed. And that like finding like whatever those weird niches for you is like, that is gold, because those people, you know, not just now, but over the next 10 years, that is, you know, those are the people who will buy your physical merchandise, who will buy your swag, who will support you on Patreon. And that's really been like, you know, where where this goes.
So you mentioned the organizing and union stuff, and in a sec, we've got a video that'll clearly speak to that audience. But first, you'd also mentioned behind the scenes stuff. So I wanted to play this one, which I found so charming because you have two Balderdash boxes holding up your computer, which I find myself in that situation quite a bit too. So here's a behind the scenes video. And you've got good challenges happening here, like telling how many cameras can you spot, guess where the music comes from. Lots of opportunities for people to show how smart they are.
People love that. You know, some of the other things that I'll point out about this is, you know, there's a lot of things that like one would never show, or I would never think to show on an Instagram or Facebook post. Like, you know, I'm there in bare feet. Like, we have the total back. Like, the camera sound is not actually, you know, it's really off of just like an iPhone. It's not that great. There's a lot of imperfection. You know, it's very clear that we're in, you know, my mom's house with like a blanket over a window. Like, it's not showing us like as artists, it's showing us as people. And that I think is something that, you know, we don't necessarily get a lot of that. And particularly, you know, I think particularly for the younger demographic on TikTok, that seems to be something that is compelling. We're not looking for like selfies in full makeup. We're looking for like who you are when you're not trying to present and sell and show.
Yeah. Let me find that. Which side? This is one of that, right?
Yeah. Sorry, say it again. So that was actually just like, that was from, I guess that was a warm up for a live stream. So we were, you know, we had the regular camera, which is just like here to there, you know, we're all in like nice tops and then in like sweatpants or whatever. So yeah, that was what was coming from there.
So this video I like because it speaks to that union focus topic, but then also it has this sense of suspense. Like, you set it up and then kind of people are waiting to see if anything goes wrong. I'll play it.
I'll do the same thing, I'll just let it spin and then we'll get here.
Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on?
It's really cool. It's like people who are interested in mechanical processes would like to watch this. Sort of that nostalgic, the way things used to be in music. It does a lot.
Yeah, and I think this was one of the ones that, you know, also went viral with several million views and totally surprised me. I was not expecting that. And yeah, setting up the situation and letting people sort of wait for fulfillment is not something that always works. You know, a lot of the stuff that we talk about is like something has to immediately grab you. We need the hook, and we need, you know, the compelling reason, which, you know, I think this has to some extent with like a recording setup that most people have never seen. But I think if you can pull those things off and like really wait for that fulfillment, it keeps people from scrolling. And again, you know, it ends abruptly, without much of that. And with this, I just sort of want to like talk about like the bigger than one video strategy. We posted a bunch of other videos of this song, both of like us singing it in this recording studio, which was like, you know, this was like 5 years ago. It's like a really old video. It's not something that, you know, I'd post for any other reason. It's not sort of necessarily representative of like the musical quality that we want. But we posted like us singing that recently around a kitchen table, and so people jump back and forth between, okay, like here's the process, and like here's where it, you know, here's where it sounds like now. This is you know, you want to have like a conversation to some extent between what you're creating, so that people can follow you from a viral thing, which is hopefully what's causing like the grab, the engagement. And then it's saying, oh, and actually that this is like a more complete version of what they do, particularly if what you do is eclectic. We've talked about that. There's a lot that the algorithm and that people, they want you to do like one thing. They want you to have like a gimmick of, you know, you said you had a friend who does MIDI art
on his synthesizer. Yeah.
So, you know, writes these amazingly complex piano pieces that when then charted in a MIDI program, it, you know, draws like a dog or something.
Yeah, he does all kinds of logos, and
which is like such a cool thing. And it's so effective because, you know, everyone who watches that video, and the algorithm knows that everyone who watches that video is going to get what they came for.
And they don't know what it is yet until they watch the whole thing. So it has that built-in suspense.
Right.
It's great.
So like if you stumble upon something, and it probably will be by stumbling upon it, that people are really responding to, you have like the choice to either try and repeat that notion, that concept, which I think, you know, if you can do that, that'll be great. Or you can also have the choice to say, that's not really what I do, and continue to sort of diversify and make this eclectic path. And that, you know, that's really what we've done. Is to some extent, it's a lot harder to train the algorithm if you're trying to do multiple things, but the people that you get will be more interested in sort of you as actual artist in the world rather than you as TikTok creator. Like, you might find more success on TikTok, but if you're really showing sort of all of the breadth of what you're doing, that'll get the quality of people that you want.
So you'd mentioned two things I wanted to show examples of. One was the other version of this song where you feel like it's more of like your current presentation. And then I want to show my favorite of your videos, which is speaking to the eclecticism. This is it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Which side
Same
are
song.
you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Come all you good workers, good news to you I'll tell, of how that good old Union has come in here to dwell. Oh, which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on?
Yeah. That's got the meta narrative, the history, the suspense, because they have to finish the story. That's got a lot in it.
Yeah, and you know, this is another video that also did really well. Because we're up here and I'm showing union songs, I just want to give a shout out to the American Federation of Musicians, Local 1000. We are all union members. We are union musicians. I encourage you, if you are not in a union, it is very possible, even as an independently touring artist, to join a union and both for solidarity and for a number of benefits, including a pension. Look up the American Federation of Musicians, AFM. If you're not in a specific place and doing music there, you can join the Local 1000, which is the traveling union. And labor rights and unions are really important, particularly right now. So please check that out.
And I'll do the awkward transition from that very meaningful, deep message to Sir Mix-a-Lot references. And
this is maybe my favorite thing I've ever created, and it did not go viral in any way, shape, or form. Which is, the other part of TikTok is, just keep throwing things out there, and not necessarily the things that you expect will do well, but that's okay.
So briefly, how the hell did you get the idea for the video we're about to show people?
This, well, the lyrics were written in a tweet. It was a tweet that was going viral for a little while, and I read this during a dinner. We were doing a rehearsal weekend at my bandmate's house, and we were saying, "Oh, that's so good," And then Will, who has the background in choral conducting, was like, "What if this was a Gregorian chant?" And then it was.
I like big butts and I cannot lie. My brother likes small butts and cannot tell the truth. We each guard a door, one leads to the biggest of butts, the other leads to certain death.
That's your finest achievement, for sure.
Crowning glory, right there.
That's so good. Maybe we can still make it viral somehow. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I'm just going to keep reposting that till the end of time, and it's going to go viral eventually.
Well, I think we want to leave a little time open for questions, but real quickly first, I guess if you can combine an amazing answer that is what's next for you, professionally TikTok, with maybe some mental health tips, because I know you've talked about shifting baseline syndrome and some other stuff like that. So
yeah, so virality, as if any of you in this room have had something go viral, even in a small way, it's really easy to then expect everything else that you ever do for the rest of time to also go viral. And it's like, why, I had this thing, it was great. I have more ideas that are great. Why aren't those going anywhere? And that's something that I've certainly struggled with. I've talked about shifting baseline syndrome. It was like, okay, if your baseline is I post a thing and it gets 200 views because that's sort of, the audience that I have, and then all of a sudden you post something and it gets 10,000 views, then it's like, okay, 10,000 views, that's what I now get on videos, please. And that sort of scales to whatever amount. And it's something that, I think we just have to let go of. It's something that, particularly on TikTok, where it's not punishing you for posting as much as you want, it's not just showing it to your fans. We post things that get millions of views. We still post things that get 2,000 views. That whole range is really, really present. And I encourage you to not take it personally when something like that happens. Maybe it was just a weird fluke. The first bunch of people who saw it were not, we're not feeling it that day. Maybe it's maybe there's something that you could change about the video, but probably if you change something about the video and repost it a couple months later, it's not because, oh, your art is so much better, the change that you made is so much different. It's like, oh, there was something, you know, a little bit chance based in that. And so recognizing that chance is a big part of this. Also recognizing that if nothing goes viral, that is also really fine. It's still a great platform for reaching new people on a small and consistent basis. And in fact, there's some advantage, I think, to having it be sort of a small and consistent growth in that your entire, we posted the Corsican Stabat Mater, and all of a sudden, like we got 50,000 followers in the next 3 days. And all of those people, the only thing that they cared about or wanted from us was that. And that was like this much of what we do in a pretty wide breadth. And, we just couldn't provide them with Corsican videos all the time because, that's just a snippet. As opposed to during the times when we've had good but not viral success, those people are seeing many different sides of us, and it's growing slowly, but all of those people are like engaged. And so, focusing on not just like the numbers, but focusing on the notion that there's people behind these numbers. Responding in the comments is super, super helpful. It's also, at least I found, a much kinder comments section than in some, YouTube never read the comments, but it's a comment section that is like really wanting to engage with you as a person. They want to learn, they want to find out, they want to know more, they want to encourage you. And we've just like had a number of people who've very directly from like responding in the comment section have gone and ordered like all of our merch, or have gone and joined us on Patreon, or have taken those steps that really bring them into the fan base that allows us to be making an independent career as for musicians doing pretty obscure music. And so focusing on that like one person at a time, 100 people at a time, that like small growth, and not downplaying that or saying like, oh, the thing that is important is virality. The thing that is important is reaching people, and reaching people can be certainly really assisted by viral moments, but it's not like that isn't the point itself.
That's so great. And I guess the other lesson is beware of ravenous Corsican music fans, because there's no pleasing them.
It's scary.
Those people are the worst. So what do you have going on this fall? What new albums or festivals or anything?
We just released a new album. We just released another book. It's an 80-page hardcover book with a CD in the back. We've managed to find this really interesting success with, in a world where everything is virtual and people are streaming music, why should people buy a physical CD? And the answer that we've come to has been for like a tactile experience. We want something that people can flip through, look at, return to a number of times. There's too much information in there again to like take in at a sitting, because if it's just a CD, a lot of people burn it onto their computer and they just like throw away the packaging, or they just never see the packaging again. So we wanted to like make something that was compelling as a physical object rather than just as an intangible sound product. So we just released that. It's called Of Hard Times and Harmony. It's, again, a lot of songs of social struggle from past movements, sung for the struggles that we're seeing in today's world. And yeah, the other thing, we have a really full touring schedule sort of now through January at least. And we're going back to the UK for our 5th tour, I guess. And we just got invited to Womex, which is the largest world music festival in the world, which is going to be in Portugal in this October. So that's a first for us, and we're really sort of excited to see where that leads us and what's next.
That's great. And please, everyone, follow them at Windborne Singers, right?
Yeah, we're at Windborne Singers on all platforms. My name is Jeremy Carter Gordon, and you can also, my information is there. You can also send anything to Windborne. I manage the group, and that'll go to me. So if you have questions, we are going to take some time, I think, now to have some Q&A, but also feel free to send me an email. I'd be happy to chat through any of these things. This is something that I do, mostly to help folks out, but we would love to stay in touch.
Yeah, thanks for doing that. If anyone has questions, come up to the mic right here and
This mic here?
That
that
mic
very
there.
one.
Check, check, check. Hey, how's it going, Jeremy? We
Good.
met in the elevator yesterday.
Nice to see you. Yeah.
Nice to see you too. So I'm a YouTube creator, vocal coach, and reluctantly got into TikTok several months ago. None of my videos perform as well there whenever I recycle content from Instagram Reels, Shorts, all that stuff to TikTok. And so watching your presentation, obviously, you've had phenomenal success on this platform. And as a video creator, it's very difficult for me to watch this and be like, oh, God, that's one more thing I have to do. And I have to do things different on this platform than other things. And so I guess my first question is, do you think that it's important that you master kind of one specific channel, or is it okay if you kind of dabble in different channels and whatever success that you have, across those is okay? And the second question is, TikTok doesn't seem to have a whole lot of the built-in connectivity tools that a channel like YouTube might, where it's like, you go to my YouTube channel, there's my link right there. You can follow my Insta, you can download my lead magnet, you can do all that stuff. So I was just kind of curious about how you start to monetize this, because obviously TikTok isn't really monetized for showing ads and stuff.
Yeah, thank you. No, those are both really great questions. I'll answer the second one first, which is it's really frustrating that TikTok doesn't have much by way of connectivity tools to put you off. They have a vested interest in keeping you on their platform, and they, at this point in their growth, they're not, they're basically just trying to keep people watching videos so that they can prove this to investors. You can put a link tree in the bio, that's great, but it's sort of yet another reason why this roundabout sort of implicit way of talking about your merch or your tours or your other channels. I will say you shouldn't mention or put in captions like the word YouTube or the word Facebook. Like, people come up with all sorts of silly phrases to get slightly around that. But yeah, imply that the things are there and people trust your audience to connect the dots. But also it's just really annoying. And as to your first question, yeah, it's definitely something that I think a lot of us feels like, oh geez, I need to do yet another channel, master yet another thing. If you have something that's like working really well for you, and like, I would say, put your energy into the thing that's working best for you. For us, that's TikTok, so that's why I'm doing that. But I will also say that because TikTok doesn't penalize you for doing for doing too many videos, and also there's not sort of the same kind of like record in the way that there is, I think, on Instagram. People want to have like a curated Instagram feed, and that's a little less sort of important for most people on TikTok. I would just say, start taking some cuts of your YouTube videos and just like putting them up with no effort, and start with that. See if that is anything, and then if you're liking that, put in as much effort as it feels compelling to do. Going back to the mental health thing, but just start with, just put some stuff up there, and maybe it'll do great. There's a lot of vocal coaches who have a lot of success there, and in particular reacting to other videos. So thank you. Yeah.
Do you have an editor, or do you do all the captions yourself?
I do it all myself, sometimes well and sometimes poorly.
Thank you.
First, I want to say congratulations on all your success. What you're doing is incredible. So everybody should clap for him.
Thank you.
And thank you for all this knowledge you're giving us. My first question is, what is the sweet spot for the length of a video that, gets pushed up in the algorithms the most?
The sweet spot is however long people will actually watch it. And I know that that's not necessarily the easiest answer, but I think it is the most correct answer. It used to be that videos were a minute long, and the sweet spot was probably like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. But they've been adding more long form videos, and there's some creators who are really, really compelling storytellers. they can tell a story that like sets up the 3-minute arc in the first 5 seconds and then makes you want to watch it for the whole thing. And if you can make a 3-minute video that people watch all the way through, that is like total gold for the algorithm and for your audience. I can't do that. There's no, that's not the arc of our songs. That's not the arc of like how I know how to tell stories, or someone in my group knows how to tell stories. So we don't do that. For us, 30 seconds to a minute is really good, because that's sort of the length of maybe a verse, or maybe a verse and a chorus, and we can put a compelling story in the text beside, like, with that. But really, if you can make a longer video that people actually want to watch to the end, that will be rewarded hugely by the algorithm.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is, what is the number that is considered viral? How many views? What is that?
That's a great question, and I think that is, it varies by platform. For us, like, if we get over 1 million views, that feels definitely viral. If we get over like 200,000 views, that feels like incredibly exciting as well. Like, your phone will be blowing up, you won't be able to keep up with the comments, and so I don't know. I feel like maybe the judge of virality, it depends on where you are in your career and all of that. But like, for me, if like my phone is just like constantly giving me notifications that there are comments on a video, I consider that sort of in a viral moment, and it's both the most exciting thing and I hate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, how are y'all? I'm Michael Fox. I'm a guitarist out of Dallas. That first video was very beautiful. I got some chills, so very good stuff. I had a question about when you're creating a video, how do you decide when to do like an acoustic sound versus pre-recording the sound? Because as musicians, we often want perfection. So stuff is resonant, luckily, like your voices, and so it sounds good just recording from a phone. But how would you determine whether to do that acoustically, or put the track in a DAW first and then bring it in?
Yeah. So if I understand the question, it's sort of how produced of a sound and like sort of what quality of sound do we choose to have on a given video? Is that?
Yeah, pretty much. Recording the room sound versus recording everything into a DAW first and then bringing it into a video.
Yeah, for TikTok, a lot of what we've mostly done is recording the room sound, but like with a nice mic. It's not just on an iPhone. The video of us like at the kitchen table singing "Which Side Are You On?" We just have a little mic that plugs into the iPhone. That's like a pretty decent sound, but it's not anything produced there. That's mostly what we've found success with. We've tried, taking an album track and then lip syncing to it, or putting something on top of that. It honestly hasn't found as much success. I think there's like sometimes a little bit of a disconnect. I think your sound has to, your sound can't be bad. That instantly, I think on any platform will just cause people to scroll, because you just don't want that auditory experience. So it can't be bad, but I don't think it needs to be produced. And I think often it will be more effective if like the thing that you are creating is people can tell that it's like in the moment, it's right there, it's authentic, and that's where I think the sweet spot is.
Okay. And did you have any technical efficiencies to help you put together a video fast, or are you doing just everything through the app?
Sorry, can you get a little closer to the mic?
Sorry about that. Do you have any technical efficiencies when you're creating the videos? Like if you were bringing audio from one program, video from another one, combining those, or are you doing everything directly in the app?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I honestly just do in the TikTok app. Some things I'll put into Final Cut Pro, particularly if I'm trying to grab video from something else to respond to. So like the thing with Michael Bublé and Stephen Colbert did in Final Cut Pro, and that was, and then I just airdrop it over to my phone and put it up.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I just need to check in with our stage manager because our clock is up, but I don't know if we have to be out of this room very quickly. How are we doing on time? Person of authority? 5 more minutes? Okay, cool.
Yeah, a few years ago, I saw an announcement a few years ago that TikTok said that it will take down any channels that is faith-based, like has the word Jesus Christ in it. I wonder what your take is, because I do faith-based music.
I can't really speak to that. I've never seen that happen. There's certainly plenty of channels that do have that, so I'm not sure.
Oh, so you've seen it, but you did not see that happen. I mean, you've seen people
Yeah.
with that, but then they didn't cut it.
I haven't seen channels being taken down around that, but I don't have any behind the scenes knowledge of the
Okay,
algorithm.
thank
but
you.
That's my experience. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been great. I was wondering if you have any tips. I'm sure there are a million online tutorials about coming up the learning curve in terms of your technical facility. I find editing TikTok videos, I'm a little slow, and it's the millennial problem. I'm not a Gen Z. So I wondered if you did any tutorial or just was trial and error. Like, how did you learn to get good at editing your videos?
Mostly did a lot of guess and check. And as I said, because it's a little bit less of a polished platform, or like that's how I interact with it, that is okay. It doesn't need to be like, if you have the technical proficiency to do like really snappy transitions and interesting stuff there, like by all means, that's really cool. But if you don't, like, I know plenty of creators who have just like, they have the video, which is just a single shot, and they have the lyrics, which are just, put in the lyrics and try and put them when they go. And there certainly are tutorials there, but like, I would recommend not to spend a huge amount of time trying to increase your technical proficiency before you just like start putting stuff out there. Like it's as another millennial who does not necessarily have this natively, I think, doing something rather than doing nothing, and don't let lack of knowledge hold you back from that. I think that's the main thing that I'd say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Jeremy. Thanks for all the great information. I'm Rick First, a singer-songwriter, and I haven't done TikTok yet. How do I create attention if I start doing videos?
You don't need to create attention. You just have to start posting videos, because it's going to show it to people no matter what. It's interesting to see, like, there's big stars who get onto TikTok and have no following, because they'll get it, and like the algorithm will do it. But like, it's not like you go on the platform and you try and transition everyone over there. If you have other followers, you can certainly post. A lot of the ways that people see TikToks these days is like they've been reposted to Facebook or Instagram. You can certainly do that as well, but I'd also just say, like, get on there, and the algorithm will start working for you, trying to find the people who want to see your
Nice.
music. So just start, and I think that let us know how it goes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
How you doing, Germany? One of the issues that I've come across sometime is when I've used like original sound without music. I've had my videos muted. Do y'all ever run across those issues? Because like the workaround I've had to do is like, I have an original sound, but I have to tag myself to something and then raise the audio all the way down. What is your workaround when y'all are doing just a cappella original sounds?
Yeah, that's a good question. Is it like the finding the sounds in the TikTok app, or is it like copyright stuff, or what?
Yeah, it's copyright issues. Like it'll just, sometimes I can do just a cappella,
right?
And I'm not using anybody else's music. I've had it muted, and then other times I've used my own music,
right.
But to not get muted, I've had to tag myself to the song that I have in the TikTok algorithm.
Right. That's a good question. I unfortunately can't speak too much to it, because it's not something that like I've had that issue.
I may be able to point you to someone at CD Baby that's here that has some of that knowledge, but maybe after this we can meet up there and I'll see if he's around.
Okay, thank you. Have you had any of your videos muted, or?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Have you had any of your TikTok videos muted for copyright issues?
No, that hasn't. That's why I can't speak to it, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Talk to Chris after.
Last question.
Hello, Jeremy. I would like to know, is it a certain amount of time that you have to post, like create content before your videos reach a certain amount of likes, or before you went viral? How long did you post content?
So the first time I started, I was posting content sort of consistently for a couple weeks. It never really went anywhere. I stopped for about a year. Again, posted content for a couple weeks and had one video go viral. And after that, there was sort of like a fairly regular pattern of going viral that then sort of trailed off after a while. I stopped because it sort of felt like it was trailing off. Picked it up 6 months later, and fairly immediately something went viral. So it's I think there's a lot of luck in it, honestly. I think, you know, if you are doing it consistently, that's great, and if it fits into your life, that's great. But I would also just encourage you to, like, you know, do it when you have time for it, and you know, don't think, oh, you know, if I do it for 3 months, then I'll find success. Maybe you will. Maybe you'll do it for 2 years and nothing will go viral. Maybe you'll do it for a day, and you know, the consistency is only good if it fits into your life. But otherwise, yeah, I think, you know, knowing that there's chance involved in there as well. So I think that there's not a particular amount of time before it starts doing well.
Okay, and one more question.
Yeah.
Is it true that you have to create like a certain amount of videos or post a certain amount of videos to continue to have like a huge audience? Get much traffic?
Not to my knowledge. You know, I think that there's certainly some thresholds, like you can't go live on TikTok, which we didn't really talk about. I do find it's if you have the ability to go live, posting a video and then going live is often really useful. You can't go live until you have 10,000 followers. So like there are some thresholds. There's also like some thresholds for other things in there. But like you monetize after a certain amount. I can't remember what that is as well. But no, in general, like, you know, if you never post anything, yeah, of course it's not going to happen. One final thing that I forgot to mention, the videos are not necessarily going to have a response in the order that you posted them. The video that I posted that Chris showed of us recording on the lathe turntable, that had like 10,000 views for like 2 months or a month and a half, and then it blew up. So, you know, leave up your old videos, don't delete them if they didn't get views, because they have a life, you know, TikTok has explicitly said actually that they have a lifespan of about 90 days in which they might do that. So that's last bit of advice before I send you off.
Thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for the tips, but also the perspective on your success. Thank you all for coming and asking great questions. I don't know what's happening in here next, but you have apps to use. So thanks so much for being here.
And feel free to get in touch if you have any questions. You can come talk to me now or send me an email.